We're going to do an install on a Darkfab exhaust on a 2010 Ford F150 XL. So this is the factory exhaust before we remove it. Not a bad sounding exhaust, but we're going to go to an all stainless steel 3-inch Darkfab and see what kind of a difference we get. So this is the review that will show you how to install that, remove the existing exhaust, and the difference in the sound. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the tools that you would need for a job like this. Safety's key, so glasses and gloves because you're going to be banging away on rusty pipes. I recommend an impact driver if you've got one, a dead blow mallet to help break loose some of those rusty parts if necessary. PB blaster is always a good thing to have around, and a good socket set. Now what we've done thus far is we have jacked the car up, the truck up I should say, and we've got 2 jack stands underneath it. Okay, it's just going to give us a little bit more room to work. We've got our handy dandy light nearby so we can see what we're doing underneath there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up this exhaust and take a look at it. But before we do that, what I would recommend, especially when you've got a truck with some of the wear that mine has, as you can see here, on the exhaust here, this clamp is going to get removed here. Okay, and then we're going to pull it off from the hanger here, and we've got another hanger back on the other side of the axle back there. Now this bolt's got quite a bit of rust built up on it here, so it probably isn't going to be real easy to get off of there. So before we go and open the box up and check for all the parts, because it's not going to hurt anything, we're going to spray this down with some PB blaster to help loosen this up and make our job a little easier. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll spray it down with some PB blaster, and then we'll go ahead and open up the box and we'll take a look at this Darkfab exhaust. Alright, so thanks to UPS, this is the exhaust that came today, Darkfab, as you can see. Box is a little bit beat up, but we're going to go ahead and open it up and check it out and see what's inside. Okay, so let's see here. What do we have? Well, it's just kind of loose in the box, but at least it's packaged up nicely. Looks like they've thrown some stuff in here. For whatever reason this is here. Some of their garbage swag. This particular exhaust came from Street Imports, purchased off eBay. Now I asked them, I made sure when they before I ordered it, I said, this is going to have all the hardware it needs, and he assured me yes it would. And it looks like it's all here. We've got the boxes here, the bubble wrap on the pipes here. I'm going to go ahead and take the bubble wrap off these pipes, open up these boxes, and see what we've got. Alright, so as you can see here, this is the exhaust out of the box. It's a good solid stainless. It's a 3-inch tube. The hangers are welded on. As you can see here, we've got the tip that's actually welded in to the pipe as a part of it. Nothing special to it. It's not rolled, no baffles. Very factory looking, aside from the fact that it's stainless and considerably larger. I kind of like that look, keeps it clean and simple. Then on the muffler portion itself, you see you get the 2 hangers built in. The canister, the exhaust itself, the muffler piece, part of it, feels relatively solid. Welds look good. And then the joint where it's going to slip in, where the old exhaust is out, is actually a good 8.5 to 9-inch piece here it slips in. So that's good. So we'll have a good, nice, tight fit. And hopefully that should reduce any exhaust leaks. As you can see, there's not much to it. It's clear through. You got some baffling on the edge, some baffles here, and some built in, but it's pretty much a straight exhaust out. So we're going to go ahead and work on getting the old one off, and then we'll pick back up. Oh, and there's the hardware that it came with. It is a clamp. Almost looks identical to the one that came off. So again, this is the 3-inch stainless steel Darkfab exhaust for the 2010 F150, and we're going to get ready and go pull the old one off. Alright, so when we go to pull the old one off of this truck, everything I've seen and read, and we're going to find out, we're probably going to learn the hard way here, but they say that the best way to go about this is to go ahead and drop the hangers first, if you can. So we'll see if that's doable. I don't know that it's going to be doable, but that it lowers it to make it easier to get access to. So we've got a hanger here. There should be, or maybe, put one somewhere back in here as it goes up over the axle. Here, I give you guys some vertigo as you flip around on me. I don't see one actually here, but the Darkfab's got one mounted. So that may be for just a different size of mine. I've got the crew cab with the 6.6 bed. That may be for an extended cab. There's no hanger there, but the Darkfab has it. So But I'm going to wrestle with this rusty bolt here first. I'm not going to try to drop the hangers. So I'm going to fight with this rusty bolt that we see right here. Now it's been soaking since, we started this 10 minutes ago in that PB blaster. So we're going to see if it comes loose. I don't know that I can get my impact driver up to it. I've got my socket set. Worst case scenario, I'll just take a Dremel and I'll cut through right here. Or cut the head of the bolt off and we'll just drop that sucker off because we're not going to reuse that clamp anyway. So let's go ahead and get this taken off here and we'll move on after that to the install. Alright, so after repeated attempts to break that bolt loose and it not coming, we're going to resort to the Dremel and a cutting wheel because we can't get in there with the big grinder. We're just going to cut that sucker off. Alright, so we've got that piece off, that nut that was so rusted, and what I ended up doing, if you can see, was I found it was easiest to cut the nut itself in half and split it. And then when it started to separate it, kind of gave up on holding on with the rust. Now, the clamp's loose. A little help from our good old friend PB Blaster and a big old hammer. This band clamp is loose. So I've got it loose enough now where you can hear it. It'll come out when I get ready to pull the exhaust out. Now, you've got 3 sets of hangers. I found the other one. And they hang here. One directly behind the exhaust here. I don't know if you can see that real well or not. Let me see if I can get the flashlight, give you guys a better view here. So there's the hanger directly behind. And it's mounted by one bolt here. And then you've got one back here. Okay? I don't know if you can see that from here, if I'm going to have to move. Let me just move. Help you guys out some. Oh, it's here. I was looking too far back. And that one's mounted by a bolt here and a bolt on the back side back here. So you can see it right there. There's a bolt there and a bolt here. So there and there. Now, if you've got a lift and you've got the garage to do it, you're not watching this video most likely. But if you do, and you can get to this, and the exhaust, that being this, without having to do this, and more power to you. But for me, I'm working on 2 jack stands, as you saw in my garage. So for me, the easiest thing to do is not to try to wrestle these tines here, as you can see, out of these rubber gaskets while the exhaust is still hanging. So what am I going to do is instead, I'm going to take these brackets and completely unbolt them using my impact driver, drop the whole exhaust, pull it off, take the brackets off once the exhaust is down, those rubber gasket brackets. It'll just be easier. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show you what I mean by that when I get to that point. Alright, so the factory exhaust is out. I've removed the hangers, the mounts, I should say. They're going to get put back in. Now, it was not easy. Part of it was stupidity, part of it's engineering. Now, what I will say is, when you remove the hanger mounts, what you're going to do with those 3 points, use something, whether it's a cinder block, your jack that comes with the car for your spare tire, something, to keep the muffler level. If you don't, you'll bind at this point here, and it'll never come out. Now, once you get that all loose, it's still a bear to get out because this is all one piece. Now, it's the nice thing about the new aftermarket exhaust. These are 2 pieces. Much easier to snake and route the piping over that rear axle. With one piece, it's a pain. I had to jack mine up further so that the rear axle would drop away lower from the spare tires mounted underneath, and that I could twist it and snake it and turn it over that rear axle. You might be able to get it out going the other way easier. I'm backed into my garage and there wasn't the space, so I made do with what I had rather than moving the car once the exhaust was off. Only thing I've got to do now is pull that rusty clamp off that came with this, and I'll start the install of the new one. Now, when you start the install of the new one, I'm going to make a suggestion to you, and this may sound silly, but wash your hands first. These filthy, greasy hands will leave that residue all over that pretty stainless steel. Now, nobody cares, right? It's underneath, you're not going to see it. However, if you leave oils, and you're going to leave some behind anyway, we're going to clean most of those off before we're done, before we start it up. If you leave a bunch of oils and dirt behind on that pipe, and it gets hot, you're going to get them turning bluish yellow. They're going to get that burned look on them. Now, it may not matter to you, it's underneath. Fine, that's up to you. Me, I really don't want that. So I'm going to wipe mine off real good after I've installed them, but I'm going to wash my hands before I get to that point. Finished. Took a little bit longer and a little bit more doing. because they shorted me a clamp, but I made do. So, a couple of quick notes for you guys. So this clamp here, that's your factory Ford clamp. The bolts on the other side, showed you that earlier in the video. Had to cut it to get it off. If you can avoid that by any means possible, do. This clamp is welded on, so it's better if you can reuse it. Now, I wasn't able to, but I went to AutoZone and was able to pick one of these up. This is a 2 3/4 inch. So I repeat, this is a 2 3/4 inch clamp. So if you get shorted a clamp and you can't reuse this, you need a 2 3/4 inch. I recommend the stainless. It's a little bit more expensive, but I live in Ohio, so we get a lot of salt on the roads in the wintertime. I thought the stainless was probably a better way to go. Another quick note, it's hard to see here, but this hanger here, this very front hanger, had to be this piece that mounts to the frame. Let's see if I can show you guys here. Yeah, here we go. So this piece that mounts to the frame actually had to be reversed. It used to hang this way so that this metal arm came down this direction. But as you can see now, to where this one and this hanger arm comes off the new exhaust, I had to reverse this. So something to keep in mind when you're working on this, to do that. You'll have that. The other thing I'll point out, I mentioned earlier making sure that this remains straight when taking it off. I will also tell you, Ford engineers were clever in that on the top side of this, there's a notch, so you actually have to twist it when you pull it out. It's got a, so when the factory one goes on, they slide it in and they twist it, and it almost locks into place, so you can't just pull it straight out. Mine had a notch on it. Yours may not. Mine did. So if you find yourself wrestling with this coming apart and you got it straight, it won't move, try giving it a twist and walking it off. You'll find that works better. These are a 9/16 bolt on this 2 3/4, as I stated. Used the impact driver to put them on so they're on there nice and tight. I'll check them in a couple of days, and if they've worked themselves loose at all, or my concern is, then I'll, as I think they might, I'll put some Loctite on that thing. I'll probably put blue on there. I don't want to put the red because I really don't want to mess with having to heat them later if I've got to take them off. I may put a band clamp on this similar to what's on the back, which I'm going to show you in a second. But we'll see if I get any leaks and how this is here once I fire it up. So let's move on back on the exhaust now. So here is where I use the band clamp that they did provide. Now, I had to open this sucker all the way up to get it over this, okay? To get it over this inlet, this outlet here. But it fits, and it's a snug fit all the way through. Again, I use the impact driver to get these tight. You got a, here on this side it's a 15 millimeter, on the top it's a 14. You get your hanger reinstalled here, up above here, and here. And then the exhaust kicks out the back. Now, as I stated, this is stainless, so to avoid any yellowing or hazing, or glazing I should say, that develops with the heat, I've taken my Never Dull wadding polish and gone over this thing and then gone back over it with a microfiber to try to get all the oils off that I could find. Wiped it down real good, so the only thing left now is to climb on out from underneath it, drop it, and fire this bad boy up. Alright, so she's all lowered down. Unfortunately, my assistant who helped us earlier, Vanna, has gone into bed for the night. As you can see, it's kind of gotten dark here. Working into the wee hours of the night. That's typical, I guess, for me. We're going to go ahead and fire this thing up now. Put the jack back in here just in case I'm taking it somewhere. I don't forget it. You definitely don't want to be without that. I'll bolt it back down here in just a second. So I'm going to set the phone down here over by the exhaust where this comes out. So you guys get a better sound to this, better hear on it, better listen. And since I don't have a Vanna, I'm just going to prop the phone up and I'll walk around and get it started. So let you get that flash turned on so you can see a little bit here. Trying to find something to set you on here. Now, you don't need to see it. You just need to hear it. Well, there she is. Darkfab exhaust installed. All in all, not bad. Considerably less expensive than some of the alternatives. Not a bad looking exhaust. I like the fact that it's simple. Kind of looks like the factory exhaust. My truck isn't real dressed up. I don't have a lift kit. Don't do any special wheels. Got some Line-X around the bottom to protect it so it doesn't get rusted and has trouble rust spots along the running boards. But other than that, my truck's a pretty simple thing. I wanted to keep that clean, original look with a little bit of extra bite, or bark with the bite, I should say, and get rid of that beat up old rusty factory exhaust. So I'm going to take her for a drive, throw some gas in her. You guys have a good night.